Hello everyone, I am Matt. I'm a college student and in my free time, I used to work on my automobile startup. Everything was good in my life. My grades, my friends, my family. Only one thing was missing. Love. For as long as I could remember, I had been single and never had a girlfriend. But this changed on the first day after our summer break. I was playing basketball in college. My teammate gave me a pass, but it was too high. While trying to catch it, I lost balance and fell on a girl in the audience. She looked so beautiful. Her eyes, her hair, her lips, everything was perfect. Hey, sorry. I hope I didn't hurt you, I said. No, not at all. I'm glad you fell on me and didn't hurt yourself by falling on the floor, she replied. I would have asked her out on a date at that very moment. But my teammate shouted at me and said, "Hey man, please come back to the court if you're done chatting." The girl giggled, and with a smile on my face, I went back to playing. Knowing that she was watching gave me a lot of enthusiasm. I scored about 20 baskets in a flash and made my team win the match. The next day, we met in the college playground. Her name was Katie, and she was studying economics. Our interests were very similar. We would meet around lunch every day and talk for hours. Soon, I was in love with this beautiful girl. Katie encouraged me to give more time to my startup. Every day, she would check how many investors I had called and whether I had received funding or not. I called about 100 investors every day. But because of the pandemic, no one was interested in making new investments. When I told this to Katie, she told me I was making excuses and should work harder. I started spending sleepless nights working, but sadly had no luck. One day, Katie made a reservation for us in a 7-star restaurant without telling me. I told her my startup still hadn't received funding and I couldn't afford that. Suddenly, she got angry at me. It's a guy's job to take a girl to luxurious places. You aren't a man if you can't do this. That really hurt me. But I didn't want to further escalate the fight, so I kept quiet. After eating at a normal restaurant, we went to her place on her insistence. I tried to cheer her up, but no use. In the middle of the night, I heard something and it woke me up. I noticed Katie wasn't in her bed. I went to the other room to check on her. What I saw shocked me. She was streaming herself online and talking to an old man. When I asked her who this man is, she said, "Might be my new boyfriend." Oh, I forgot to tell you. We're done seeing each other. It's over. After this, she started talking to that old man again who looked like a Russian billionaire. I asked her, "Why are you doing this to me? If there's an issue, I'm sure we can talk and work it out." She replied, "It's not possible. I only date rich guys. I wish I had known your financial status earlier. Would have saved time." I never knew Katie was such a shallow person. This came as a complete shocker to me. Heartbroken, I decided to leave from her place. I got really depressed. Katie was the first person I had fallen in love with, and she broke my heart. From that day on, I started working day and night on my startup so I don't think about her. I sent letters to multiple venture capitalists so I could get funding. I even put out a job opening so I could expand my team and increase the output. One day, while I was working in a co-working space, a girl came to my table and said, "Hey, I saw your job opening online and decided to come straight to your office and meet. Is the vacancy still open?" I said, "Sure. Do you have your resume?" I went through her CV and it turned out she was really talented. She didn't seem too worried about her salary, so I decided to hire her that very moment. We started working together and hit it off really well. Her name was Mia, and she was a college student herself. With her help, my startup and personal life both started getting better. We both enjoyed working alone with each other till late hours of the night. There was only one problem, though. I still hadn't got any funding. I was running out of money. I figured that there was only one option to keep the company running. I'll have to lay off Mia. This was a very tough decision for me as I had actually started liking her. But every time I would try to confess, I would be reminded of Katie and stop myself. One morning, as I was preparing how to give her the bad news, she came to my table and said, "Hey, I had written to a few investors for funding myself. Luckily, one did reply and has agreed to give some money." She showed me the letter and it made me so happy. Although it was a very small amount, it was enough for us and I didn't need to fire her. It happened quite a few times. Somehow, Mia was able to arrange small amounts of money at just the right time to keep the company running. I was so glad that I hired her. One morning, Mia called me and told me that she was under the weather and couldn't make it to the office. I wished her to get well soon and carried on with my work. At around midday, though, I was paid a visit by someone I never expected to meet again. It was Katie. She had a big suitcase in her hand. I asked, "Hey, what are you doing here?" She told me, "I wanted to see you, Matt. What I had done was wrong, and that's why I wanted to apologize." I told her that I have moved on and it was alright. But then she said, "I still haven't moved on, Matt. I still love you. And to prove my love, I have brought with me $1 million in this suitcase. I told that Russian man about you and he's agreed to give you this funding." I was shocked. I never expected my dream would be fulfilled in such a manner. Then Katie continued, "I have only one condition. If you want this money, you'll have to fire Mia. I've seen your Insta stories with that girl, and you being around her makes me very jealous." Her condition left me speechless. I had to make a decision at that very moment. On one side was my startup. I had worked really hard on it, and funding of $1 million could give my business a huge boost. And on the other side was Mia, a girl who had stood by me through thick and thin, a girl who had worked with me day and night, like this was her own startup. That's when it hit me. I couldn't let go of Mia. I was in love with her, I told Katie. "Thanks for your help, but unfortunately, I'll have to reject your offer." After saying this, I ran from there. I had to tell Mia about my feelings. I left the office building, but as I was running towards the taxi, I bumped into Mia. She was standing with an old man outside the office. I asked, "What are you doing here? Aren't you unwell? And who is he?" The old man started giggling. He said,
"Don't be shocked. I'm her father, young man. Mia had told me she is in love with you, but men have used her for her money so many times that I wanted to check myself if you're trustworthy. You see, I'm an oil billionaire, and I was the one who was giving Mia the money for your startup. I wanted to be sure you were loyal to her."
"That's why you sent Katie to me with cash." He laughed.
"Exactly! There was a camera attached to her shirt. I'm so glad you rejected the money and passed the test, young man."
Mia stood there and smiled. I went close to her and hugged her. I said, "Your money is not important, Mia. I love you for the person you are." She was really touched. She kissed me immediately.
"Also, you can keep that bag of money, young man," her father said. "Your company is potential, and I am eager to be a part of your success."
My dreams had finally come true. I was in a relationship with the love of my life, and now my startup was taking off too.